Look at you, 'tis fine you're looking. Come on in, the water's warm. This much is true, is what this podcast is called. It's designed to self-destruct after 91 days, because nobody's really interested in it. It's a discipline. Again, if you've joined me for the first time, Happy New Year to you. No, it's wearing a bit thin at the moment, but we're just kind of halfway through January, so come on, get with it. Did you put your bin out last night? Oh, did you? How many of you know what bins to put out? And how many of you do what I do? And that's sneak outside and see what the neighbours are doing and copy them. Oh yeah, hands up, that's me. Definitely. Speaking of which, if you want to get in touch, this much is true, at protonmail.com. I would love to hear from you. I need to hear from you. It's that simple. 2 topics tonight. Well, maybe one. One coming out of the topic. One subtopic. So tonight I want to talk to you about a little podcast that I found. It's not widely known or subscribed to, and indeed, perhaps it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'll tell you why I like it. Let me get straight to the point. It's called Ray's Rants, or AYS, Ray's Rants. Now, Ray is a fellow old pirate radio man like myself. Now, he's a little bit more senior than me by about 13 years. Yeah, I know I'm obsessed with being 60, so you can guess what age he is. But he's a lovely guy, and I found him quite by accident because I was searching around YouTube one night for videos from old pirate radio DJs, and up pops Ray, very much current. And what I loved about him was he's sitting in a kind of studio like this, but there's all wireless radios and everything around him, because not only is he a qualified ham radio operator, he, for years, all his working life, he repaired televisions and radios. So, of course, I was going to pay attention to this fine man. And I used to love it because his coffee cup, every time you'd look, it would disappear. Like it would be on a desk one minute, it would be on his lap the next, it would be somewhere else. And he also used to have a phone in his pocket, and sometimes he'd be talking and next minute the phone would be gone and then it would magically reappear. And that's because he went to the butcher school of editing at that stage when it came to editing video. Sorry, I'm in a stupid mood. What day is it anyway? Is it Tuesday? It's Tuesday, January 16th. So, what am I talking about tonight? Ray's Rants. I'm going to put a link in it down below, and you can check in with it yourself. Now, it's probably only in large parts going to appeal to people of a certain age like myself, Cardigan Club members. Welcome, card-carrying Cardigan Club members. I don't know, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond. And that's largely, by the way, what he concerns his show with is he recalls happenings from those decades of the 50s when he was born right up to maybe the 80s as a younger man working and stuff. And we just think about things we used to do and items we used to have and experiences and what the weather was like. And to his credit, he does not get down and dirty with what the current state of the world is, which, let's face it, is garbage and dangerous garbage at that. Because I don't know. I just can't fathom 15 years ago even, half the crap that we have to put up with. You wouldn't, even 15 years ago, it didn't exist. I'm not even going to go there, and neither does Ray, because he knows better than to raise, I don't know, whatever. Politics, transgender, wokeism, wars, people. He just stays away from it, and that's how he speaks. He's very lightly spoken in a kind of old Brit way, and he hails from an area called Worthing. Oh yes, born and bred, a Worthing original, down in the southeast corner of England. And I am regaled listening to his stories about discos of old and smoking Woodbine cigarettes and going out and trying to find girlfriends and mini dresses and maxi dresses and all these kind of things, pirate radio, transistor radios. And he does, in the nicest possible way, put me to sleep. And you see what he is, what Ray's Rants is the antidote to all this mad multimedia. I can't find my phone for once, great. You know, like this TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever, myopic that people's lives have become. Do you know that you get more stimulus in one day than your great-grandparents got in their whole lifetime? What, between advertising, texting, scrolling, phones going bleep, bleep. Okay, so do check him out. He's down below. But the sad story that I said kind of emanated. Some of his listeners are finding it difficult to deal with the world, or they just want to talk about yesteryear. But there was this particular sad case of a lady, and I'd say she was late 70s, maybe mid-80s, and she said, "Dear Ray, I'm very upset." And what had happened was, in her retirement, and I think she was possibly a widow as well, or a spinster, she had one little thing she looked forward to every week. She worked in a, what do you call it, a charity shop. I don't know, like Royal Naval charity shop or whatever. One of these little Group Captain Cheshire, Oxfam type operations. And this was her shining moment every week when she'd go in and she'd help out and with rummage and what have you, volunteered, of course, and interfaced with people because she was lonely and she didn't really see people. But this was her little thing, you know. And she said, "Ray, I was serving behind the counter recently, and I said to one of the assistants, 'Would you ever help that lady over there?' And the lady became very angry and started shouting in my face and screaming the place down. I was so embarrassed that she wasn't to be addressed as a lady. She was to be known as a he, a him, and I wasn't respecting what she was calling her her pronouns. I was all confused, and I said I was sorry and I apologized profusely, but the person kept roaring and screaming at me, and I went basically behind the counter and I was in tears. Now that's what you're up against these days, without me being fool enough to take a side. Look, certain people, and you can't blame them, don't get it, all right? And neither should people expect them to get it. You know, each to their own. But this person was what? Volunteering in a shop in her cake baking years, doing her best because she wanted to help and she didn't want to be lonely. And the worst was still to come, because at the end of the day, when the till was being done, the supervisor said, "Would you mind coming aside?" And she said, "That incident today," and the lady said, "I know, I'm really, really sorry about it." She says, "Well, I know you're sorry, and we all understand how sorry you are, but I think it's best that you don't come in here anymore." Now that elderly lady went back to some grief hole, and it upset her so much. She said she misses it. And her only fallback was to contact Ray and relate to him what had transpired. Now, as for me, what is it, day 15? Am I still here? I think, though, I will be away this weekend. I kind of know I will, so, you know, I was planning on maybe making some videos in advance, but I'm just too busy. Despite that you might think there's tumbleweed here, not at all. I am narrating around the clock and voiceovering, and it's all good. It's all good, boys and girls, and I hope it is in your corner of the world as well. I'd love to hear from you, just so I don't see the tumbleweed and hear it. Check it out. This much is true at protonmail.com. Of course, you can comment below if you want as well. but feedback would be good. Now, I want you to... Oh, come over here. It's cold in your place as well. Come here. Give me your little hands. Did your parents ever do that for you? Remember, you'd be outside in the snow and your hands would go so cold they'd actually turn opposite and start burning. And you'd run in with kind of frostbite on the way. Your hands and your parents, my father, God rest him, he'd go, come here, Marco. And he'd give me... Take care, because I care.